Going to go to the papers. Nick is here with that breaking news story that the papers are covering already. Starting with coverage of events in Ferguson. Of course, there's been that violence in Ferguson over the last few hours. 2 police officers shot in the aftermath of the news that the police chief, Thomas Jackson, has resigned. Nick.
Well, let's go right away, Stuart, to one of the key papers to go to cover this really closely, and that's the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. And it has an exclusive interview with that Ferguson police chief, Thomas Jackson. Now, the quote from him is that this city needs to move forward without any distractions. He says that in quitting, he wanted to do what is best for the community. He realized that meant actually leaving it. And now let's hop over to the Washington Post, which has got an editorial comment, which is that Thomas Jackson is out. Now, Ferguson Mayor James Knowles should go too. It points out that there are municipal elections due next month, April. James Knowles is up for re-election. The paper says Ferguson's population is 2/3 African American. They should show Knowles the door, get him out, usher in the local government that they want.
And part of the sense of injustice is being felt, being reflected in a cartoon that you found in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
The same paper, yeah. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch cartoon for this Thursday is this one, which is very striking given the events we're seeing currently in Ferguson. There we see a police officer holding a gun to the back of a black guy saying, "Hand over your wallet, hands up." Now, of course, this is related to an incident concerning a judge in Ferguson who is accused of using the municipal court to his own advantage and to raise revenue for the city. That issue and several other issues, of course, noted with the Department of Justice report, really showing that Ferguson now, as we speak, in tumult.
OK, the paper's reacting to that news breaking in the last couple of hours. Now, let's move away from the US now. One of the other main stories of the day concerns the situation in Russia. Opposition leader urging the West there to act much more strongly now against Vladimir Putin.
Well, this is the front page of the Financial Times, and the opposition leader is Alexei Navalny. There you can see him, and he's saying blacklist the Putin loyalists, and he's saying that we're not doing enough in the West to address the Putin threat, impose travel bans, impose asset freezes, not on just a few dozen, but hundreds, up to 1,000 more oligarchs and officials loyal to Putin. The quote there from Navalny: draw up the blacklist, hit the propagandists of the war, the ones who financed the war. We remember last week, Garry Kasparov, another opposition leader based in New York, he said that the time for fair play with the Kremlin is over.
Going to talk about diplomatic ties now. 2 countries that have very intense diplomatic ties, really, at the moment, are Sweden and Saudi Arabia. Rather hit the skids, though, haven't they, Nick? This is over human rights. Well,
there are two countries that are dissimilar you could hardly find, really, Sweden and Saudi Arabia, and they are at loggerheads. This is with Saudi Arabia withdrawing its ambassador to Stockholm. Now, it did that after blocking the Swedish Foreign Minister, Margot Wallström, from giving a speech to the Arab League earlier this week. Now, Wallström is angry, is angering Saudi Arabia by condemning the medieval methods of Saudi justice. There's a bit of a tit-for-tat situation going on, Stuart, here with Stockholm withdrawing a security and trade agreement that it has with Riyadh, basically blocking arms exports. Let's go to the London-based Pan-Arab daily Ashaq Al-Awsat, which is saying that, that paper, of course, Saudi-owned, saying that the foreign minister for Sweden is engaging in interference in Saudi affairs. Her view on the human rights abuses, so-called, are completely false, the paper says.
And finally, from Nick, Stephen will love me saying this one because he keeps talking about it as if it's something great. The Apple Watch. It's a really stupid idea. That's one of the opinions in the UK press. I agree with this. Ridiculous.
Well, I don't agree. I feel it's quite an exciting idea. Right. But one of the points being made in the Independent piece, which is very much, what are you going to do? You're going to wear this watch and then sort of lean over and start doing your emails. It doesn't seem very practical. No. You know, there you can see the Independent piece, Lunch with Ken. And it's saying that Apple is really betraying its whole history of producing mass market products at a reasonable, accessible price with what what is it, a $17,000 label, which is now 17,000 euros almost, isn't it? So that piece, very critical of the Apple Watch. And as a reflection of that, those consumer pressures, let's go to the China Daily cartoon for this Thursday. I need eye help with a bloke and his wife looking at that iWatch thinking, oh, not iWatch, but Apple Watch, thinking it's just another gadget that I have to pay for, all that money that I have to fork out. So the consumerist China there getting the attention for the China Daily.
I agree. Nick, thanks a lot. Stephen's not so sure, though, are you?
See, it's the question of the effect it'll have, you know?
Okay.
Could be revolutionise smartwatches.
Just be quiet. I'm checking my mails. Start doing this in the middle of the bulletin.